Hi Flosstube, it's Diane. Sorry. Today is October 31st, 2021. Happy birthday to my brother-in-law. Yep, this is his birthday. And I thought I'd do a regular update video and also talk about my WIPGO plans for 2022 and a little of my plans for 2022. I will do a separate video that has even more detail on the particular projects. But I do have a finish. It's not a stitching finish, it's a wool finish. But wool finishes involve stitching, so it counts. I got another Christmas ornament done for my child, one of my children. And it is Vintage Station Wagon Ornament. This is by Buttermilk Basin. I have to give it one more press because it's a little bent there. And then I have to put the hanger string on. I have to use a bigger eyed needle, and I just didn't bother pulling it out when I finished this particular piece. And then this is the one I'll be doing next, Vintage Truck Ornament December. So I have it all fused. I just have to go through and do all the stitching, and then I'll be working on Winter Sled Ornament. The others I have to cut out and do all the fun stuff. That being said, I did go to Buttermilk Basin to get the buttons for the one piece and other stuff I have kind of home with me. So I'll run through this real quick. I got the buttons for the gnomes, and I also the big Thanksgiving piece. And then they had this one, Blooming Star. Now this one is kind of Christmassy, but I was thinking you could take any two colors. You can make this red, white, and blue. You can make this red and white for Valentine's, green and white for St. Patty's Day. You can choose black and white. This would look really great in black and white and grays. And it's not huge. It's 28.5 by 28.5, but it's cute. And then this one, Faded Pumpkin and Crow. This is wool. This is all wool. So I just got the pattern. But I love that blue pumpkin and the white pumpkin. This one, Fall Pumpkin Quilt. It's a combination of wool and cotton. Again, this is just the pattern. And then this one is their Basin Cotton Club for October. I'm thinking this is a scrap buster, because if I could use scraps to make a bunch of blocks like that and then put them together. And then this one, Channel the Flannel Quilt. Now they use cottons in this quilt. You could use flannels, but I thought that was really cute. It's 40.5 by 49.5, so lap size. Excuse me. This one is Baskets of Glory. The center panel on this is wool, but the rest is cotton. And I don't remember if they had this one as a kit or not, but I really liked that. And then I did buy one kit. This is the Holly Leaf Quilt. This is all cotton. It's Christmas, but I loved the black with the red and the silver. I just thought it was vintage Christmas, but different. I don't know if so I have to cut that apart. Excuse me. I really have to go now, but that's what I did. I also received my fibers through my Fiber of the Month through Trish from 3 All Threads. That is still a great program to build up your floss. I get 10 classic colorworks. I'm in the S and T's right in there, or getting to the T's. So like the O's through maybe the O's through the R's this month. But it's just a nice way to build up your stash. And I'm using Classic Colorworks more. And I also use it on the wool. That some of their variegated ones match some of my wool pieces really, really nicely. So I use those. And then I have not done any quilting. I've been too tired to quilt. You have to give me another drink. I was fine until I decided to do a video. But if you follow me for any length of time, you are aware that I've been dealing with this stomach thing for a while. And so I went to a different doctor, and I'm really focusing on diet. I have to do this more focused diet, elimination diet, and then reintroduce foods, kind of figure out what bugs me. I know I have to be gluten-free, so that's been settled. Part of that process is you get really tired. And so this will be this. I'm to week 2 of this diet. I will be doing this through January, into January, because I don't want to reintroduce foods around Christmas and get sick again like I was last year. Don't want to do that again. But it's a little challenging. Things that I really like just black pepper on food because it's from a seed. And that can cause inflammation, which I didn't know. And so I have to be aware of spices. It's a lot of information. But part of it is that you do get tired, kind of like you're fighting a cold. This isn't COVID, but like you're fighting a cold as your body kind of adjusts. So that's where I'm at right now. And I did put up a video about some haul I got from Cub Foods, local grocery store. I'll be putting up videos like that, but I will label my quilting videos quilt. I will label my diet videos diet. I'm not going to make a separate channel. I don't got time for that. But I will label it such that if you don't want to watch those videos, skip over them and watch the others. This is very new to me, but this week, I had a little bit of stomach pain yesterday, but I don't remember having other stomach pain this week. So, as we kind of work through it, obviously it'll work and figure this out. The older you get, the more you realize there's not an easy button. There is a reset button, and your body likes to hit that a lot. Oh, you think you can eat that? No. But because of that, that's another reason I haven't done a huge amount. And because quilting, I have to bring everything out and put everything back because I don't have a set sewing room. I just don't have the energy to do that right now. But this next week, this following weekend, starts deer season here in Minnesota. And my husband will be deer hunting with a number of our children. And so it'll be just myself and the 3 littles during the day. So, we'll eat breakfast, we'll do the dishes, sweep the floor, that kind of stuff. And then I am going to sew because I can leave my sewing machine out and my stuff out. And then I will have some quilting stuff to show next video. I don't have any of this particular video. Aside from the quilt I bought, and I do want to make that one for this Christmas season, but I'm getting a little too many whip in the quilting area, and I need to reduce that number. That being said, WIPGO for October. I don't remember the specific numbers that were called. I know that the numbers for November have been called, and I'll show those projects. Also, it's ragweed season here, and that is my big seasonal allergy. Ragweed and cottonwood, those 2 things, my nose just runs. My allergy medicine can't keep up. So forgive me if I have to wipe my nose. But let's look at what I did for WIPGO October. I'm still working on one of the numbers, but the other number is done. And one of the numbers was a new start. And I know I said I would start one of my plum streets. And I was sitting there stitching, and I thought, oh, I have this kitty, and it was just calling to me. And y'all know how that is. Sometimes a piece will just call to you. I need to stitch me. So I started it. This is Miss Columbian Nymphalid from the Butterfly Misses collection from Nora Corbett. Now, I have had the privilege of meeting Nora a couple times, and she was talking about her design process. And when she does these little guys, she often does a group of 6. And she will sketch all of them out at one chunk of time, and then she'll chart them over time, and you give them to whoever needs them and all the things. But usually most of these collections have 6 in them. Some of them have 5 and some have 4. But this particular collection has 6. I have stitched 3 of them. I've stitched Lola's Dagger Wing, Solar Ellipse, and Black Swallowtail. They are all upstairs on my wall, actually. And it might be the thumbnail for this video if I can. Sometimes if you take a picture and then you do this and that and then YouTube doesn't like it. If I can, I will put it as my thumbnail. Otherwise, I'll have to do another time for a picture. Or you can look at my Instagram. I'm pretty sure my wall is there, where I showed my wall of a bunch of pieces. And those 3 are on my wall. One of them, Lola's, is done on 32 count Hidden Treasures by Fiberlicious. Solar Ellipse is on 32 count Phoenix by Picture This Plus, and Black Swallowtail is on 28 count Rubius by Picture This Plus. And they're all beautiful. They're all on the wall. The Solar Ellipse and Lola's, I actually took a double-sided clock, and so it's hanging on my wall, and one side has Solar and the other side has Lola. This one, I used to be part of Fiberlicious's Fabric of the Month. I do her fibers of the month, her cottons, because I felt I had too many of the fabrics and I wasn't using them. But her cottons are really nice to stitch with. And this particular piece of fabric is from that fabric club. I do believe it's in her regular line now. And it is 32 count, A Dance of Autumn Leaves. And when I got this piece in the mail, I thought, oh, I have to find a piece to stitch this on. Because these ladies, you know, with their brown, gray dresses, you want the wings to sing. And they're all turned away from you. Miss Goss is one of them, and I can't remember what the other one is. I haven't stitched those yet. But because of how, you know, the wings are so striking, I put them on kind of in-your-face fabric, and this one is no exception. This is Dance of Autumn Leaves, 32 count, 2 strands over 2 threads. And so here is her, as you're looking at it, her right wing. Yeah, her right wing and part of her dress down here. And I've started putting in some of the blue. I had this whole wing here, like done all the way down here, and then I found I had made a mistake, and yes, it would affect the overall design because it's symmetrical. Yeah, so I have to, I'm trying to remember if I still have to rip that out. So I still have to rip this out, and I kind of have to move it over and up. It will affect the overall design, so yes, I will do that. But this is beautiful, and this is one of the WIPGO numbers for a new start for October 2021. And it was nice to stitch on these again. It's been a while. And then my other WIPGO number was for the Bristol Sampler from the last edition of the Gifted Stitching magazine. And it's a digital, I bought it digitally, I printed it off. I do not have a color printer, but then I took it to Office Max and had them coil bind it for me. And this is the particular Bristol Sampler. Wall de Champs is the designer. WDC Designs. And I am using DMC 1 strand over 2 threads, number 816. That is not the color that the pattern called for, because the color the pattern called for, I just thought it was too bright of a red, and I wanted a richer red. This is on 40 count white, and my WIPGO goal is to complete that top alphabet. And so here's where I'm at. I had this done, so I've added F to M, and now I need to add S to Z, and then I will have my WIPGO goal met for this particular piece. This is a huge piece. It is 300 stitches by 500 stitches, so I had to get a fat half. Did I buy a whole yard? I think I bought a whole yard because I had two very large pieces. So yeah, this is not a small piece by any means. And I have a lot to go on it. But this will also factor into my WIPGO for next year. So those are my WIPGO for October 2021. So one goal has been met, and one goal is almost met. I am not going to have a blackout on my WIPGO board. I already know that. I haven't even looked if I have bingos, because that's not why I did it. It's possible that I do. I just haven't looked at it that way. I did continue to work on Three Things by Moira Blackburn. 40 count Verdal, V-E-R-D-A-L. And because Verdal frays so much, I put quilt binding on the edge. So that's what you're going to see on the edge. And I had down to here done, except I was working on this section. And here is where it is at. I really like 40 count Verdal. It's a very nice even weave to stitch on. And Garon Stitchery had Verdal for a while. I don't know if they have it. When I looked on the website this week, it wasn't there, but it could just be out of stock. I don't know. You can contact them and ask. I mean, the worst they could say is, no, we're not going to have that fabric anymore. That's all. So I have this guy completely done, this area. I have the trees completely done. And there's an animal here and an animal here that I was adding to the center section. And then I have to do the flower, heads of the flowers, and then there's this kind of leaf border here. And then I'll be halfway done with this piece. So I am that close to getting halfway done with this piece, because the halfway mark is somewhere in here. So then I started working on this border, this floral band. My goal is to have this done next year for my 30th wedding anniversary. So this is my goal. It's funny because one of my sons said, I have a 25th wedding anniversary piece and it's hanging on our wall upstairs. And my son said, well, Mom, have you even started your 30th? And I said, yep, I'm almost halfway done. And he's like, oh, okay. So we did not have a honeymoon. And I think I've talked about this before. We thought 30 years, you know, we can go somewhere. November 2021 numbers have been called. I think it's like 14 and something. I don't remember. But, excuse me, what they are on my board is it's a new start using silk gauze. And the pieces that I'm choosing to do, one of them, I haven't figured out which one. I know which one I'm leaning toward. Oceans of Wisdom by Erica Michaels and Ocean of Wisdoms 2 by Erica Michaels. This is the one I'm leaning toward. But they're both kitted. And I know that Linda from Erica Michaels, the designer, has said that she's been having some issues getting silk gauze. But my particular patterns had the silk gauze in them. Now silk gauze is on here, and I zigzagged it onto a scrap piece of fabric. And then what I will do is I will carefully separate the silk gauze from the fabric, and I will trim this like when you did a heart in the middle of a piece of paper and you had to cut that part out. That's what I'm going to do on the fabric side, being careful not to snip this silk. You do have to do silk gauze in a hoop, and I do have a hoop. Otherwise I tend to stitch in hand, but that's how you prep your silk gauze. So I have Oceans 1, Oceans 2, and I also have the Nativity Berry by Erica Michaels. I have all three of those pieces all prepped. I'm going to choose either Oceans of Wisdom 1 or 2 for my new silk start, and then I have 5 days on that. I do like doing silk gauze. It's from the front, it looks like you're doing a half stitch. It's the continental and the basket stitch, basket weave stitch are the 2 stitches you use, and you do all the little detail work and then you do the fill-in. And I really like it. It's a nice, in the cross stitch arena, you don't always make X's. So it's kind of a nice change a little bit. It can be a little challenging, I'm not going to lie, but it is also a lot of fun. This one is my other WIPGO number, and it is by Lila Studios with the needle 2. And my goal for WIPGO is to do the next box. I have this complete, this box, and this box. I think this one's complete. So I need to do this 3rd box for my WIPGO goal. I'm using all the called for colors. 1 strand over 2 threads on 40 count. I think it's natural. Yes, 40 count natural. Oh, you know what? I don't have that 2nd box. I just started that 2nd box. So the 2nd box is what I need to finish. So these colors are just absolutely beautiful. So here's the outer border in the 1st box, and I just started a little bit on the 2nd box. So I need to get the 2nd box completely done for my WIPGO goal. I've been waiting for this one to come up because this one is a fun one to stitch on. And I have a chunk here that I can play with for other pieces, because this is the bottom of the piece. So I'll give it about there, and then this I can use for other things. So I really, really like this piece. I'm using all the called for, 1 strand over 2 threads, and I'm looking forward to stitching on that piece again. So those are my WIPGO numbers for November of 2021. WIPGO for 2022. I have my plan in place. So what am I going to do? The Sunshine Stitchers mentioned my comment about designers, but I didn't give them the details of my whole idea on this. So on my WIPGO board, I'm going to have some new starts. I'm going to have Persephone on there because she is my oldest WIP. So my oldest WIP will always be on WIP plans, whether it's a WIPGO plan or other list, until it's done. And we're not fighting, so that's a good thing. Bristol, as I mentioned, is also on the list. 3 Things is on the list. I also have, for my free space, I have 2,000 stitches total for the month on any piece I want. So that's one of my pieces, or one of my boxes. And I also, because next year I'm doing a patriotic year, and I've gone through and I've listed all my patriotic pieces out. Some of them are already started, some of them are kitted, and some of them are not kitted, but ready to move forward. For some of my WIPGO numbers, I've chosen, I call it red project, meaning I have to have a project that has red in it and stitch 10 days on it. So with my patriotic pieces, that could be anything. It could be this project has red and this project has red, so I work on this one 3 days and this one 5 days, and so I'm leaving that very fluid and very open for myself. And I also have a blue project is another one of my days where I stitch blue. You know, the project has to have a chunk of blue in it, not just one stitch. It has to have a chunk of blue in it. Again, some of my pieces that are on there is, you know, Land That I Love by Teresa Koget. That has blue in it. That has red in it. What is else on there? Let Freedom Ring by Lila Studios. With Thy Needle has red and blue in it. Although, I don't know if you call that one patriotic. Haven't decided yet. But the idea is that when those numbers are called, that's going to be my focus for that month. The other months, now I have Persephone on there 3 times and Bristol on there twice, and a red project and blue project and 2,000 stitches, and I want to finish Let Freedom Ring, and I want to finish 2 smalls, and I also have an extra large piece that I'll stitch on. So as those boxes come up, that's what I'll do. And new starts. Well, the other ones, I'm going to take a designer. So I chose some of my designers that I have a number of designs, particularly in the patriotic realm. And one of them is Plum Street, Blackbird, Erica Michaels, Rosewood Manor. I think those are the 4 main ones. And so what I did is on here, I say Plum Street 5 days, meaning I could choose any Plum Street pattern. It doesn't necessarily have to be patriotic, but that's my focus next year, and I can stitch on it. Then I have Blackbird. So I have Dear Daughter by Blackbird started, and I have from Sweet Land of Liberty. I have one piece started and one piece kitted. So I'm just going to focus on those particular designers that month. And it could be any design I have of theirs. The idea being it could be either from my patriotic list or a start I already have going. And I really love these designers. Oh, you know what? There's supposed to be a mirror on here too. That's not necessarily Persephone. So I'm going to have to change that. But because I have 2 mirror pieces that are patriotic for next year. The Lady of the Flag already started, and Queen of Freedom. So those 2 pieces, and then I'll just stitch on them throughout the year. But I took all my patriotic pieces and I put them on a list, and I listed them by small, which is, if you add the sides together, divide in half. If it's 100 or less, that's small. Medium is 101 to 200. Large is 201 to 300, and extra large is 300 or above. That's how I decided, because I have all these pieces sitting here waiting to be started. A number of them are already started, but a number of them are not. So that's how I am going to choose. Yeah, so I have my smalls. Obviously, medium is my biggest category. My larges, my extra larges, and these are quilts that I want to work on next year. So there are also a handful of pieces, like 3 Things, Persephone, that are not, and Bristol Sampler, which are not necessarily patriotic, but I do have included them into my stitching. And also Common Ground, the piece that my friend sent me. So that is my overall glance at a plan. I plan on doing a different video where I will show these projects in more detail for my patriotic stitching in particular, in case you haven't seen those patterns, because a lot of them are new to me, or just haven't been started. They've been sitting there staring at me, mocking me. And then I'll do that in a separate video though. But that's what I have. Looking forward. Oh, I do want to say on the bags, I have heard from the 6 bags that I was able to send out. Everybody's received their bag, and that's great to hear. The one person in Australia who I was not able to send her bag to her, she picked out a beautiful piece by Heartstring Samplery. Blanking on what it is right now. I looked at it, though it's really nice. So she's happy, and yeah, hopefully this stuff will change in a good way. And yeah, because so much of it just doesn't make any sense at all. But with that being said, looking forward into November, we do have a local levy thing that we have to vote on this week, and I encourage you to be aware of your local levies, votes, whether it's a mayor or city council or whatever it may be, because that's where you have the true power. So vote, register to vote, do everything that you can to make your voice heard legally. And so I'll do that, do final prep for hunting and my quilt sewing making. Yeah, that I might have to go to the quilt shop to get something. I know. That's just so heartbreaking. But we'll be doing that for the next couple weeks. We are still planning on going to my parents for Thanksgiving, so I will plan on doing a video between now and then. Keep up with this diet. In some ways it's challenging, in other ways it's not. So that's good. But they list sardines on this plan, and I'm like, no, not happening. Not happening. I get that stuff. I could put that in a little pill, swallow it, be done with it. But salmon and other fish is on there, and I had no problem with salmon or other fish. It just sardines. So it'll be interesting because I can't have any kind of sugar and all that, but that part isn't as challenging as I thought it would be. It's the no dairy and no eggs that's more challenging. But if I feel better after all this, it's worth it. My eldest daughter, she's still cancer-free, but she has tested positive for COVID, and her roommate did some travel and brought it back with her, unfortunately. And her roommate, I adore her roommate. Her roommate is fabulous. And, she did all the things, but COVID is there. And so they've been fighting that. And she said that she has a cough. From what I understand, the cough is what's going to hang around for a while. But for her, she's like, it's just, I'm hunkering down, and it's like I have a big bad cold type of thing. But most of her work stuff is talking. So I'm sure that's more challenging right now. But aside from that, we're just doing the same old, moving forward, doing the next thing, watching some Flosstube. I'll try. I don't think last time I included Flosstubers I was watching. Maybe I did. I don't remember. I'll try and do that again this time. So you can look below in case you're looking for someone else to watch. Some of them you might already have heard of. I don't know if they'll all be your cup of tea, but if they are, great. But I do really thank you. The 28th of October 2021 was my 7th year anniversary for Flosstube, and it's been a fun 7 years. It's been interesting. I mean, I had a baby, and walked the line with my daughter going through cancer, my husband going through his health things, getting him diagnosed correctly, now my health issues. Yeah, life is never boring or stagnant. I will say that. But I have met some fabulous people through the Flosstube universe, some in real life, some digitally, and it's really a great community to be a part of. And I'm glad that we have really, really tried hard to keep the drama out, because the world is just weird, and I don't understand a lot of why people think that calling other people names gets anything accomplished. I don't understand that. But I thank you. Some of you have watched every video I've ever made, and I thank you for that. And some of you comment on my videos, and I love the comments. It's a great community to be part of, and I thank you for subscribing. I thank you for following me on Instagram. If you follow me there, it's just mondotstitches. I thank you for personal messages I've received on my email. I can't really find the words at the moment, but to be part of a community that cares, especially in these weird, uncertain times that we're living in. And are they the weirdest times the world has ever seen? I don't think so. But it seems like every generation, we all have these things. So, that is all I have, really. And I hoped to have some bags done, but again, I've been too tired to sew. But when they're ready, we'll do another giveaway. We will. And I will make it domestic only and have something else for international viewers. I've done that in the past, and I think that'll probably work in these times. So, love to you all. Thank you for being part of the community and letting me be part of this community. And I will talk to you probably in 2 weeks. Before Thanksgiving here in the US, I plan on making a video. Hopefully I'll get it done. If I don't, I don't. But it is what it is. So, love to you all. Bye.